People who wore the same clothes every week as kids. What's the most humiliating comment someone made about poor hygiene? I was 11 years old when picture day rolled around, and I woke up that morning feeling almost excited because I had a plan. My dad worked construction and money was always tight, so I had exactly 3 outfits that I rotated throughout the week. But I had one piece of clothing I actually liked, a blue hoodie my dad got me from Walmart for my birthday. It didn't have holes or stains like my other shirts, and it fit me right. I wore it every Monday and Friday, and on picture day, I wore it because it was the only thing I owned that made me feel normal. I stood in line waiting for my turn, trying to smooth down my hair with my hand, when Brett walked up behind me with his usual crew. Brett was one of those kids who always had new everything. Different expensive sneakers every month, designer hoodies, the kind of stuff I saw in store windows but never imagined owning. He stood behind me in line with 3 of his friends, and I heard him laugh before I heard what he said. Dude, you wear that same hoodie like 3 times a week. Do you ever wash your clothes, or do you just smell like that naturally? His friends exploded with laughter, and I felt my face get hot. Everyone in line turned to look at me. The photographer glanced over and actually wrinkled her nose. When it was my turn to sit on the stool, she positioned me with her hands barely touching my shoulders like she was afraid to get too close. She moved me slightly away from her, and I noticed her take a small step back before clicking the camera. After the photos, I was heading back to class when I heard Brett's mom talking to another parent near the water fountain. She was one of the parent volunteers, wearing pearls and this perfectly ironed outfit. Her voice carried down the hallway. Some of these kids clearly come from homes where hygiene isn't a priority. You can always tell which ones don't have mothers. The other parent nodded and glanced in my direction. I kept walking like I hadn't heard anything, but my chest felt tight and my hands were shaking. When I got home that afternoon, I told my dad I was sick. He felt my forehead, looked concerned, and let me stay home the next day without asking too many questions. 3 weeks later, the class photos came back. Everyone was passing around their prints, comparing poses and backgrounds, laughing at funny expressions. The teacher handed me my envelope and I shoved it in my backpack without opening it. I already knew what I'd see, me in that blue hoodie that everyone had made fun of. The same hoodie I'd worn to school again that very morning because I didn't have anything else clean. When I got home, my dad found the envelope still sealed on the kitchen table. He asked why I hadn't opened it, and something in his voice made me break. I told him everything. About Brett's comment, about the photographer moving away from me, about his mom saying I came from a home where hygiene wasn't a priority, where there wasn't a mother. My dad's eyes filled with tears, and he pulled me into a hug, apologizing over and over. He said he'd been working extra hours to save up for Christmas presents, but he'd buy me new clothes instead. My teacher noticed I'd stopped raising my hand in class, stopped participating in group projects, started eating lunch in the corner by myself. She called in the school counselor, who eventually got the full story out of me. The counselor called a meeting with the principal, and Brett's mom was asked to come in. She sat in the principal's office in another expensive outfit and tried to defend what she'd said. I was just being honest about concerning hygiene. These are legitimate concerns when children aren't being properly cared for. That's when my dad showed up, still in his work clothes covered in drywall dust, carrying a folder with our bills, his work schedule showing 60-hour weeks, and bank statements. He looked at the principal and asked if poverty was now grounds for public humiliation. Brett was required to apologize to me in front of the principal, but his eyes were empty when he said the words, and I knew he didn't mean them.